And we're live.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Happy, today is November 14th,
14th.
right? Today's Tuesday, November 14th, and welcome to our third write-in for National Novel Writing Month 2017. How are things going?
In case any of you are new, I'm Kristen. I'm the Young Writing Program intern.
I'm Nick. I'm Programs intern. We're here to help everybody with their writing for the month. Yeah.
So basically, if you don't know what a young writer,
I'm
so tired.
It's all right. It's all right.
Virtual writing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a virtual writing is, it's basically we talk about different things with writing, and then we have word sprints for like 10 minutes, where we write and you write, and it's kind of like we're writing together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna have a few different word sprints, and then between each one, we're gonna have just short discussion sections where we're gonna listen to what everybody has to say and kind of tell a little bit about our writing experiences, and hopefully offer just some good, valuable advice to all of you in this mid-month part. As you can tell, like we're about halfway through NaNoWriMo, and it's starting to show the wear and tear, at least for me. I am keeping up on my writing. So far, I am on track to reach 50,000 by the end of the month. I'm not. I'm super behind.
But that's okay. Sometimes it feels like I'm just barely holding on, but like I'm getting the things done. But yeah, I think it can be easy to feel like at this month, like everything is just falling apart. But that's okay. Today, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. Today's topic is we had some debate over what we call is hitting the mid-month wall. So you might feel like all your problems kind of with your writing that you're feeling might be stacking up. You might have just hit kind of a spot in your story where you feel like you can't keep going, but it's okay. We're going to try and share some advice and listen to what you have to say. All right. So just our first question, or do you want to just do the sprint?
Before the sprint, just if you guys want to share kind of what problems you've been facing, what's coming up for you. Like I know I'm very low on what's the English word for goodness? Like desire to do the thing.
Motivation?
Yeah, yeah.
You can feel
it's stronger than motivation, but yeah. Like I just don't feel like doing it, It's exhausting, and I'm super behind.
I think what a good idea might be is just like as people ask the questions, maybe copy down a few and then answer a few of them as we go. Do you think that works, or
are there questions?
I mean, like if people are sharing the questions. Yeah. So what problems kind of are you facing at this point in your novel that you might be feeling? Just real quick. I know as you mentioned kind of word count, feeling unmotivated. I would say I feel like sometimes I feel like my novel is kind of going in circles, which is I feel like I have that problem quite a lot, but especially this month. But I think my goal is to just really keep pushing through, even if I keep circling around the same points and have just kind of scenes that I feel like don't go anywhere. Just keep going, getting that writing in, because I think eventually I'll get there. Yeah. It says, I think a lot of people are sharing your thoughts about, motivation kind of hitting a wall. How do you get that excitement to write back?
Running out of plot.
Nowhere,
boring. Life stress.
Digging a big plot hole for yourself. Yeah. I don't know. I think we talked about this before, but really one of the best ways to kind of get out of a plot hole, or if you feel like you have gotten to a scene where you can't keep going, just skip it. Just write another scene. There's no reason you need to write your novel in a linear order, because you can figure that out later.
That's true.
Yeah.
Even like you can always move things around later, and also a lot of stories aren't written in a linear fashion anyway. And maybe if you go circle back around to it, you can come up with a really cool way that your story can play out. You can learn a lot about your characters by doing that too.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. What I often do when I am kind of hitting that writing wall is it feels sometimes like cheating because it's almost like an exposition dump. But I will just have a scene where characters are just working out their problems without really any subtlety. Just say like, you know, here is what's going on. How do we get past it? And just doing that more explicitly in the story. And that way I can kind of work out on my own as a writer. I can work out kind of what I feel like is going on in my story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want to start the sprint, or is that a good time? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do our first sprint, which is 5 minutes long.
Yep.
Do you have your timer?
Yeah, I've got time.
In which you write a character reflection. You know, how far has your character come? What are their thoughts and feelings about the journey that they've taken so far? It's a
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a way for you to potentially work out, you know, maybe some of the things in your story that you feel like are going really well, and some things you feel like you need to kind of work through. So this is like a really good chance to kind of not only get that word count up, but just think back on the first 2 weeks of Nano and, you know, the first parts of your novel, and think about like, okay, what has happened and where do we need to go from here? Okay, so we'll be putting the sprint prompts in the description in the chat, and of course, as always, you don't need to follow this sprint prompt. You can kind of just do 5 minutes of free write if you like. Yeah, so we'll get started on the prompt. We've got 5 minutes, and we'll let you know when the time is up. Ready? And begin. Got about 2 minutes, 15 seconds left. And that's the time. Okay, everybody, share your word counts. Finish that sentence. All right. So how many words did you get in that sprint?
You say first.
I got about hold on, I got 220 words. Wow, somebody in the chat just got to 50,000. That's cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, lots of really great word counts coming in. Wow, it's just flowing in.
I got 170.
Nice. Let's hear from a few of you. What did you write about? What kind of reflections did your characters do?
I used the phrase "it was bad" to say the least twice.
I feel like I've done that a lot of times. I know. I have many
I've been
ellipses.
really stuck.
Yeah, I feel that.
Well, hopefully that makes you feel better.
There's been a lot of like sections, not only in this reflection kind of thing, but in my novel itself. I feel like there's a lot of sections where somebody's like, I don't actually know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. Can someone explain? And then somebody's like, well, how about I not explain that, but instead go on this long tangent about something else. And then they're like, okay, that's nice, but I still don't understand.
I stop using contractions. I use a lot of superfluous phrases.
Yeah, a lot of superfluous. My thing with contractions is I know that I could get my word count up if I just stop using them, but like that's part of my character's that's how they talk, and that's how I talk too.
Names with two-part names, like a title. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Let's see. So it said it was more a reflection of a character realizing just how much emotionally and physically she was hurting than a general one. My character was reflecting on when her younger sister was born.
My villain is reflecting about math homework.
Nice. Math homework is basically my villain, although I've since defeated that villain because I don't have to do math homework anymore.
Reflective moment in a diner. I love that.
Yeah.
Diners are great places for things to happen.
My heroine reflected on the circumstances that put her in her current position, which is disembarking from a train on Grand Central Station in New York of 1929. That's very cool. Let's see, we've got a couple other ones. Contractions do have a good time and place. I will agree with that. Nice. Completely ditched hyphens. That's also another way of putting it.
Oh, no, I'm not saying contractions are bad. Contractions are great. I just don't use them for the word count.
Yeah. Reflecting on whether or not she should really continue pursuing her dream or give up. I feel like that's too true sometimes. It's like just thinking about like if this accents came out. Thinking about this novel in a way, and thinking about where you're at in your writing, and thinking about the road ahead. It can feel like a lot sometimes, but reflecting back on it.
On finding out his best friend cheated on his wife, but because he's dead, he can't defend himself. Whoa, that's heavy.
Which person's dead, though?
Oh, I assumed it was the
I think either way, it's going to be really interesting. Debating joining the guild that trains assassins and spies. She's worried that she'll not be able to control her magic in general. I love stories like that. Those are just like super exciting and fun. Like I love guild type stories.
Me too.
Yeah. Cool. My character's in a fantasy novel where contractions don't exist.
My character hasn't progressed, but I'm wondering if that should be part of her character. That she's stuck a certain way. That's a good way to spin it. That's really
absolutely
cool.
Yeah. That's kind of similar to what I talked about. I talked about mainly how one of my main characters, the catalyst for like the main part of the story is was this big attack essentially that happened and like a battle basically, and in the immediate aftermath, she's behaving in ways that I feel like are really out of character for somebody who's just gone through that. But at the same time, it's kind of very much in shock. Like a lot of things just have not been processed yet, and that's kind of how I am as a writer. But I feel like it still works for that character. I'm gonna have to go back and change some things, but it's not as despairing as I had thought. Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next section? Okay. The discussion. Right.
So, key part of the mid-month wall that I've been dealing with, that I think some of you have been dealing with based on the comments. Is how is your work-life balance going? Now we're about halfway through the month.
Yeah.
How have you been? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Basically, how is your writing going? How have you been managing to find time?
Mm-hmm.
How have you been organizing your life and making sure you're taking care of yourself, and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks on that?
Oh boy, I mean, it's kind of a broad question that we've assembled here. Like, just it's a general like, how you doing check-in, because I feel like it's really easy to lose track of kind of yourself. That sounds like way too deep. Like, you're doing the writing and you might be like really, caught up in what you're doing, and it's easy to kind of forget to take care of yourself, especially if like you're a student or this is kind of what you're doing with your time.
Or even if you work.
Even if you work, I think my issue that I have is I generally, are you almost at battery? I generally have a really hard time carving out specific writing times. Like me, I tend to write like late at night, which is it's probably not as healthy as it should be. But like I'll write late at night and just kind of keep going instead of saying like I'm going to write between 8 and 10 p.m. and just I'm going to try and get to my workout, but if I don't, that's okay. What I end up doing is like I'll just be working at different points of the day all the time, and so that ends up kind of draining me a lot more. But for tips, I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. But I am just trying to be better to myself about like discipline, about making sure that like I go to bed like at a certain time when I need to do. I know the last couple of nights when I've been doing my writing, I think no matter, even if I'm behind in my writing, or even if I'm in the middle of something really good, I just make it so that if it's about midnight, I'm done for the night. Like I don't keep going past midnight for my writing.
I mean, and it's also really important for your writing to take care of yourself so that you don't burn out. So that
eat healthy, do exercise, drink water.
So much water, all of the water. People like forget to do that, especially when you're sitting in front of a computer screen all day. I always forget to drink water. Getting up at 2 a.m. for writing before the rest of the day. That's impressive.
Getting up at 2 a.m. Wow.
I can't do that, but props if you can handle it. Like sleep is just everything.
Sleep, I think sleep is kind of not underrated, but it's kind of one of those things that you don't really realize exactly how much you need it until you're not getting enough of it.
Stretching, that's a
stretching.
Good idea.
Oh yes, that's absolutely true.
Burnout is 100% a real thing.
Absolutely. I remember last year when I was doing NaNoWriMo, I was balancing it out with a lot of exams at school, and I had kind of more structure back then than I do now. So I think that's partly how I got through it. But definitely like having other things going on, no matter what those are, to kind of occupy your time can also help. Like some time out of the day when you're just not writing, when you're not thinking about writing, I think can be really helpful. It seems counterintuitive. Like it can be really helpful for when you do sit down and write because you've kind of had those things building up.
And also it can help with your creativity to go out and be in the world, and you can get new ideas. And like I personally get a lot from spending time with friends and having like deep, engaging conversations. Like that actually really helps my writing indirectly, I think, even though it's like taking a lot of time away from the writing. In theory, it actually feeds back into it. Everything you do to take care of yourself is going to feed back into your writing in some way. So
what was I gonna say? Something along those lines. A lot of people are in the chat are talking about how resting and revitalizing are really important. Getting up and stretching, drinking lots of water. I have found that it's a little different now that it's getting a little bit colder. But sometimes I will go out, walk my dog like late at night, maybe when I can still see when it's not like light enough, but go out, get some fresh air, get some exercise before sitting back down. And again, that's particularly me, just because I tend to write late. Oh, a good recommendation would be see if you can go to a local write-in in your region. Those can be really fun. I mean, those are good for just getting your word count up anyway. But it's kind of writing in a different environment. It might kind of help stretch your creative muscles and just your muscles in general. If you're kind of going somewhere, seeing some new people, just kind of getting to share the experience with other people.
Pets are great. Also, if you happen to have a pet, that's great.
Yeah. Local writing's great. Writing in a bookstore.
Lots of
being
veggies.
surrounded by books.
Yes.
Yes, lots of veggies.
Nourishing
Absolutely.
meals. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been eating a lot of soup. I've been learning how to make soup.
Yeah.
And just eating a lot of soup. And then I reread The Tale of Despero.
Oh, nice.
And it was really great.
Yeah.
That was how I motivated myself.
Can you go to Ryan's fan routine? Yes, you should be able to. I think there's no.
What was the question?
Can you go to local write-ins if you're not an adult? That's fine. Yeah, teenagers.
Some of them.
I think most of them. I think you have to check in with your local with your region.
They're listed online.
Yeah, I think most of the time they're totally fine.
Also check with your parents.
Yeah, check with your parents. Yeah, eating eggs are healthy. That's true. Yeah, I think we didn't talk about this before so much, but that I think about it. Reading, yeah. Reading, cooking. If you've got some other creative outlet, I know that for a lot of people, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of people, writing is their kind of outlet to get away from the stress of other things. But I think, especially in this time when writing is like occupying your mind so much, it can help to do some other creative task, or even a non-creative task, something menial, like go rake the leaves, or just go, do some other task that requires you to just think about other things for a while before coming back with a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Are
we ready for the second sprint?
I think so, yeah. Sewing and crafts here, birth photography. Nice. Okay, yeah, so if you want to read that one.
Candy, I eat a ton of candy too.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of in that vein of like doing other things and channeling the other parts of yourself that you can use for motivation for writing, for your story, for perseverance and moving forward. Write about your main character's best traits. How did they get through personal challenges? How have they so far? How have they in their life? Do you have anything to add?
I think you put it really well. Just generally, how does your character get through their personal challenges?
It might be really different than you.
It might be really different from yours, or it might be the same as yours.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of everyone can take kind of a different point of view on this. I can definitely relate, I think, to, even though my story is set like in a completely different sort of situation than mine, I can relate, I think, a lot to some of my characters' challenges, and I think I can bring that into the story a little bit. All right, so
this will be 10 minutes.
This will be 10 minutes. So I'm going to start the timer in just a moment, and again, we'll remind you when you have about 5 minutes left, and then when the time is up. All right, ready and begin.
Awesome.
You have about 5 minutes left. And that's the time. Okay. Let's hear your work counts, everyone, while I wipe off my glasses. My name is Kirk. And how many words did you get?
I'm going going to have to copy paste to figure that
All right. I got 366 words.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a helpful prompt, at least for me. I noticed
Good. It's nice to focus on the positive ones.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
340.
Nice. I noticed a lot of people have kind of mentioned that like we type pretty loud. Sorry about that. Like, there's kind of not really any getting around it though, just because the microphone is here, and if we moved it away, you wouldn't be able to hear us when it really matters. But sorry about that. But
I think it's kind of a calming noise sometimes.
it can be calming. For me personally, I like typing noises. Oh, that's just because I do type loud. This is not a new development.
You're a very aggressive typer.
I have a lot of. I type with purpose.
With purpose.
With purpose.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's true. Okay. So let's hear. What did you talk about in your writing?
What did I talk about?
What did you write about? Excuse me.
I talked about community. It's like a sense of community and how.
A sense of community in your story?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And how the characters use a sense of community basically to fight evil, and they use each other to like learn how to take care of each other against all of these evil things that are happening around them.
So it's kind of like their best traits are that they're like coming together.
Yeah, and that's in my like story that has rapidly turned into a fantasy story.
That's fine. Yeah.
That's what saves them, and that's what keeps them from basically perishing in like the world that is emerging. Nice. What about you? What did you write about?
I wrote about a couple of my main characters, and honestly, there was a lot of talk about how they've changed, like from when I expected them. I initially kind of had these archetypes of these characters. I kind of figured like here's how they are, and I kind of thought again back to my previous word sprint material, and how one of these main characters' reactions to like some major event is kind of unusual, but I feel like that is kind of part of her nature, just not just in that situation, but just that's kind of her personality. And then one of the other characters I talked about, like a similar like personality. That's what I tend to write about, I think, in these things. Yeah. Let's see what some folks have to say in the chat. Characters empathetic and practical thinking. I like that. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of updates. People saying like they hit their 25,000 word count. They hit the 32,000 word count. That's awesome. A few people said like they hit 50,000 in this writing, which is fantastic.
I'm at 13,000.
Nice. It's fine. It's fine. It's not about I mean, we say it's about reaching a certain word count, but that's not all that there is to it.
It's about you. It's
about
not
you.
About the word count. Or the
even if you've only written like 50 words in the entire month, that's 50 more words than you would.
Wrote a thing. Yeah,
you wrote a thing. That's the best part.
The ability
piles of dogs. What?
To face a problem and push through it with the best of her abilities. That's an incredibly useful skill.
How relationships are more important than mere possessions. Nice.
Uses letter writing to feel closer to her boyfriend. Wow, yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I mean, yeah, lots of great word counts. Let's see some of these. Character. I accidentally made a new character replace the one I killed off for obstructing my plot. Honestly, that's like if you're talking about like hitting a wall in your writing. We got blurry. No, we're fine. If you talk about hitting a wall in your writing, then honestly, just kill a character. That might be your best bet. Not always, especially not if it's a story in which a character dying suddenly is like gonna fit necessarily. I don't know.
If it's gonna make it harder for you later, maybe.
But like, don't feel bad about just killing a character or like just flipping everything upside down.
Yeah,
you know?
or throwing a wrench into the plot that your
This is
characters
your time to
have to work
experiment,
around,
you know?
and learning about them by having them deal with things that you're throwing at them. I mean, it's a big part of what my writing is.
One had a question. My MC is a guy, and he comes over as a bit emotional in the beginning. People are always so against emotional males. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think not necessarily. I mean, the point you made about maybe people will think that might be an aspect to explore in the writing. Maybe people see that as a weakness, but that's not a weakness in itself. I think that's it's a good thing. Because everyone has emotions, and maybe if your character doesn't have emotions, then it might be harder for a reader to relate to them.
Expressing emotions does not ever make you weak.
Yeah.
Even for men, especially for men.
Absolutely. If you have a runner break their legs, troubles are terrific. You don't get a tattoo of that. That's like it's one way of putting it, but like that's kind of spot on, honestly. Like that's a good way to, not a good way, but like that's a good way to move the story along if you feel like you're stuck in a spot, Great.
Emotional males need more representation.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Do you want to go? Do you want to go to the next discussion? Because we got to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Where are we?
Our discussion number 2. Sure. So we actually had. We're trying to figure out our best way to describe this, but we came up with an interesting analogy. So this discussion is going to be about a couple of like things that you might be thinking about a lot, and that's one, your inner editor, which I know a lot of you have brought up in the chat. Your inner editor is that feeling that you have that you need to go back through your story and fix things and change things, but that's not going to increase your word count. And the other one is we thought about your inner anteater, or maybe your plot eater. So think about it this way. This is like when you are writing your current novel, and then in the back of your mind, the other part of your writer's self starts shouting at you, you need to write something totally different. Here's this great idea that you need to deal with now. And so we thought like an anteater is like following a trail of ants and then sees another trail of ants and just follows that instead of finishing up the ants in the first place. So our advice with that in short is, well, there's a few different ways to go about it, but one is like, finish eating your ants before you start on some more ants,
And the other interesting...
Finish eating your ants.
We're struggling with metaphors today.
Yeah.
But the other thing is asking, like, how can you incorporate these new ideas that you're getting into your story? Because I know when I'm writing, a lot of times a huge part of the writing process for me includes coming up with new ideas and saying, oh, well, what about this? This would be super cool to incorporate. So like either writing them down or finding a way to incorporate them into your story as you're going without necessarily having to go back, especially because it's NaNoWriMo, or both, like save it for later if you need to. But how can you, like, the question that we were dealing with was how can we like actually actively incorporate those aspects into the plot that we're already working with. Yeah. And one of the ways that we were talking about to deal with that is like with subplots. What are your characters' friends and family doing while your character is off doing their thing, Yeah,
I mean that's that kind of goes hand in hand with the idea that your novel doesn't have to be linear, especially not at this stage of your writing. If you feel like you're in a spot in your writing when you just don't section, you can just jump to another section if you want, and you can just say, okay, I want to write about this person instead and what they're doing. Yeah, I mean that advice I think is really good. I mean, I'm also reading the chat and there's some really good points here. Clean your plate. I feel like that's a better metaphor. It's like you're eating like a big feast, your first plate before you can go back for more. I know that this problem that we talked about kind of really speaks to me because when I tend to, When I tend to work on a project for a long time, like doing outlines and research and stuff, I will often go back and jump through. I'll jump to a different one and work on that for a while, especially if I'm feeling stuck. Sorry, my brain is not working.
And then you can either write your way back around to it,
yeah,
and have that actually like be a part of it. You know, it's about exploration and experimentation.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. I mean, I always think of Beloved, which is super confusing to read because it's really unlinear written. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's non-linear.
Non-linear, thank you. And so I always think about that and how amazing that book is and how like effective she was able to use that tool to like that circular plot story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just being able to experiment also with like the way that you're telling your story and the way that you're using your ideas to develop the plot and develop your characters. Those ideas can really be cool.
I think kind of going off of that, I know one of the issues I've run into a lot is, and I know that I'm reading in the chat, a lot of you have mentioned like it's kind of hard to just silence your internet editor. Sometimes that's easier said than done. And so in the past, something that's worked for me is to kind of make a compromise with my internet editor and say like, I'm going to set, here's the editor time. Here is the time when I will indulge in these other ideas, make it like 10 or 15 minutes out of the day, and then, you know, use that time to like write down other ideas, work on some other stuff, go back and change some things. But then after that, we're done. We're still in draft mode. In that way, you know, I am indulging in the part of me that wants to just go back and change things, but I'm not letting that dominate my writing. You know, I'm still able to just keep moving.
And also figuring out who your inner editor's voice mimics, I think, can be really helpful because I think I'm reading the comments and, you know, one person says their inner editor is their biological father. And like a lot of times we adopt the most critical, you know, what ideas, whether it's, you know, a teacher or a parent or whoever it might be. I think sometimes coming up with a personification of your inner editor so that you can communicate with them better, if you're like anything like me, can be really helpful. So thinking about like, who are they? And, or if they're like a really fat man with a cigar, you know, with like a mustache, you know.
An evil villain looking character. It's easy to make a caricature. No, yeah. So I think we're going to move on to our final word sprint for the day because we gotta make sure we're on time. So what we're going to have is another 10-minute word sprint, and again we've jumped around with metaphors a lot, but the idea is find a way to incorporate your quote novel bunnies into your current writing as a subplot. So if you've got these other ideas, other subplots you want to work on, this is a good time to just like work on that. Try and find a way to work that into your novel. You know.
If it helps, think of like switching to to focus on a different character for a while. Like, what are they doing? What's going on with them that you can maybe later tie back into the main story.
All right. So we're going to have 10 minutes. And again, we'll let you know when the 5-minute mark happens and then when the time is up. So ready? And begin. All right, are we back? We're back? Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, timer's still going. We're still in the middle. I assume you can still see us? Okay, give it. There's still a delay. No video for me, but audio. Sound, yes. Video, no. Guys, go ahead and keep writing. We'll keep figuring this out. No video. We're seeing video. Hold on. Keep writing. Here's no picture yet. Okay, the audio is there. Oh. No, camera's off. Audio's video, no. Keyword audio. Well, back to writing. I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to turn off the camera for a minute and then turn it back on. Turn it off and back on. All right, hopefully that'll do. Video now. Okay, we're good.
Oh, yes.
All right, good. Got about 5 minutes left in the word sprint. We're still doing the word sprint. It's still on.
Enthusiasm is just making me so happy.
Yeah.
Yay, we're back.
Yeah. Okay, where was I? We'll have about 2 minutes left. Oh, and that's the time. Well done, everyone. Let's see what those word counts are. Got 226. What about you?
Oh, I'm writing on the Young Writers Program site.
No.
And it doesn't tell you how much you just wrote.
It's a great site.
Oh, I love it. It's
yeah.
great. It like auto saves and everything is set up there for you. And
don't forget, if you're using the Young Writers Program website, you can write natively in the browser. It's great. And it auto saves.
It's only for young writers, though.
That's true.
I wrote 257 words.
Nice. It's better than I did. I think I ended it. Well, there's the little blip. Sorry about that, guys. Our Wi-Fi tends to be a little weird sometimes, but.
What did you write about?
I actually thought about how I've got like several different projects that I work on, and in the past I've kind of jumped between them a lot. About like, okay, I'm just gonna try and develop these a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I honestly, when it comes to my writing, I'm kind of a committophobe. Because I'll just write something for a while and then almost get bored of it. Not bored of it, but I'll say like, I need to go do something else for a little while before I can come back to this. But I thought about just like, okay, how would these even incorporate? And I actually remember like this current project and a few others are actually like kind of all in the same universe, but like at different times. Like pretty different times, but like different kind of connected characters. But yeah, what about you? What did you write about?
I wrote about one of my I have four main characters, which was a better idea in theory than in reality, because now I have to develop all four of them.
I know that feeling.
It was actually a lot harder than it sounded like. And one of them is trying to choose between dating two different people. And that was my subplot.
Nice. Let's see, I put many questions I need to answer and figure out the MC's house will have a portal that was opened by a previous tenant many years ago. I love that. That's really cool. I want to know like what's in the portal. You know, how did it get to be there?
I wish I had a portal.
Yeah. Lots of people reporting, they're about to hit, their writing milestones, which is fantastic.
I know. Congratulations to all of you. This is super awesome.
Yeah. I hope that these writings are like helpful for like getting your word count. That's the idea, but like
they help my word count.
Oh, for sure, I agree. I'm in the same boat. I think after this write-in, I've got maybe 500, 600 more words that I have to get down. The crow's trying to tell us something. That's true. Yeah, we're almost out of time, but we'll hear a few more things and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, lots of work from the villain's perspective, which is great.
I love that. I love unreliable narrators.
Oh, for sure.
That's my favorite.
Does anyone else create psych profiles for their main characters? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Great. Do you have anything else you want to say on this particular?
I had three different things I wanted to say, but I forgot what they all were. So.
Just don't forget with your quote novel bunnies or your anteaters or your plot eaters or whatever you want to call them. You don't necessarily need to ignore them. I think try and remember that your goal is to write the novel that you're writing and reach the goal that you've set for yourself. But that doesn't mean, to figure out a way that works for you to compromise. That's my advice. Is that might mean, write your ideas down on a note card or set aside a few minutes per day to, dedicate to that editor or anteater and stuff like that. Yeah.
And more than anything, be kind to yourself. You can't do everything at once. And the fact that you're doing this is amazing. And a lot of you,
so impressed.
80,000, 50,000, 25,000. That's amazing. And even if you're not, you're like me and you're not way high up there, the fact that you're doing this is super awesome. And it's super important to nourish yourself and take care of yourself. Whack your inner editor on the nose with a rolled up newspaper.
And as many people have said, which I love, I'm so happy that it actually caught on. Finish your ants, eat your ants. I love it. Okay. But yeah, I think that'll probably do it for today. Don't forget that next week we're going to have another write-in on the, whatever day that is, the 21st. Same time, same place. and we'll be talking about some more important writing things. We need to figure that out, but it'll be great. But yeah, just keep on pushing and writing.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Thank you all so much for watching.
Eat your veggies.
Thank you for all of your advice, because I also love reading all of your thoughts and advice on things. It's really helpful to me as well.
Great.
So,
all right. So, bye everybody. Good luck.
bye.